1, 5.1, 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3, 8.7, 8.8, 9.2, 12.1, and 12.2. Are there any other agenda items that you wish to remove from the consent agenda for further discussion today? Councillor Holland?
Thank you. 9.1, please, just for an update.
Thank you. Did not say 6.2? Okay,
Sorry, that's
6.2.
6.2.
thank you. Councillor Mins,
When we're done here, I'll move the motion for to accept the agenda with the amendments.
wonderful, thank you. Councillor Capitania, can you please use your microphone?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda to remove 8.8.
Thank you. Are there any further amendments or items to be added to? Sorry, items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Are we removing 8.8 from the consent agenda or removing it from the agenda completely?
Councillor Capitania,
I'm
can you
moving
clarify?
to take it off the agenda.
Moving to delete from the agenda.
To make the motion so we can.
Do we
make
need to
other-
have a motion or do we vote on that? Because we don't even know what it is.
Mr. Mintz had a motion on the floor already.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't know what it is, how do we? Not that I saw, but I'll look.
Any further? There's no further amendments. Councillor Mintz has made a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Call the question, all in favor? 6 opposed? Thank you. Motion is carried with 6-2. It'd now be in order to receive a motion to recess the council meeting to proceed with public hearings.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Councillor Wallach's made the motion. Call the question, all in favor? Motion carried 8-0. I am Ashton Anderson, Deputy Reeve for Athabasca County, and I will be the chair of today's hearing. On behalf of council, I'd like to welcome you here today. All of council is present with the exception of Reeve Hall, and I'd like to take a moment for introductions. The secretary of the public hearing is interim CAO, Mr. Pat Vincent. Our recording secretary today is Ms. Leah Blair. And our communications coordinator is Mr. Jordan
Shinkelberg.
S.
Birds.
We'll now go around the table and introduce ourselves, starting with Councillor Mintz. Please use your microphones.
Rob Mintz, Division 8, Baptist Lake, Island Lake area.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here. Tracy Holland, Division 5, which is east of Athabasca, Jackfish Lake, Paxton, Amber Valley areas.
Kelly Chamzik, Division 7, Atmore, Grassland, Crossfeed areas.
Good morning, Camille Wallach, Division 9, north of the river.
Use your microphone.
Good morning, Joe Gerlach, representing Division 1, Rochester Fairville area.
Good morning, Natasha Capitani, Division 2, Collington, Minnock, and New Pine Creek.
And good morning, welcome Gary Cromwell, Far North, Division 6, Wandering River area. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. And of course, our Director of Planning and Development is also, no, it's not Planning and Development anymore. Sorry.
Community Protective Services.
Community and Protective Services is also joining us, Ms. Krista Wilkinson. Any persons who have joined the meeting in person or via Zoom and are wishing to be heard should please give your full name now. I believe we had 2 in-person attendees registered, Mr. Ken Park and Mr. Ryan Park. Present. Is there anybody attending via Zoom? No. Thank you. The public hearing for bylaw 006-2023 is now open.
Madam Chair, members, the purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca County Council to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council, to the chairperson. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The ground rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: Director of Community and Protective Services, Krista Wilkinson, will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of Land Use Bylaw Amendment 006-2023. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Director Wilkinson will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councilors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at the hearing. Once council may ask questions of persons during the hearing. If any persons want to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during their presentation, and the chair will only ask the question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
Thank you. Before hearing from the public, I would ask Director Wilkinson to provide background and explanation of the proposed bylaws.
Good morning, everyone. This bylaw amendment application is to change Unit 6, Plan 152478 in the hamlet of Grassland from hamlet commercial to highway business. This applicant is looking to develop a tire shop in this location, and the current zoning does not permit. Unit 6 is currently vacant. Unit 2, which is between Unit 6 and Highway 63, currently has a gas station, convenience store, restaurant, and lounge on it. First reading of this bylaw was approved on August 31st. Public hearing, or the adjacent landowners, agencies, title interest holders were notified. Public hearing notification was also posted on the county website and in the local paper.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask the director? Seeing none, are there any written materials that have been submitted?
I have one written material, one response to referral that we did. Forestry and Parks, Lands Delivery have no concerns with this bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Director. I will now call upon the persons wishing to speak to this bylaw amendment. Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Ken Park. I'm from KSP Architect Inc. I'm representing the client, the owner of the property, Ryan Park.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yes. Yeah, so the client would actually like to propose a rezoning from C1 to C3, as I mentioned. And in order to put a tire shop, because the original zoning doesn't really accommodate for the intention of the use that the owner would like to propose. Therefore, we are trying to get a highway business C3 zoning and trying to get that use for tire shop as a permitted use. For the the setbacks of the unit 6 is actually located behind the gas station, is actually hidden, kind of somewhat hidden away from the highway. So it's not really visible, but due to the truck to accommodate the height is a little bit higher, so there'll be a roof line kind of poking out, but it's actually a little bit discreet. As for the truck stop itself at the front, it does actually has a lot of trucks coming in and out of the property, so I don't think there will be any issues with the number of trucks coming in because it's already used as a truck stop. And in order for there's a Ramada on the west, there's a Ramada hotel there, so which it's been, the traffic has been controlled with the roadways all around, so I don't think it's affected on the adjacent Ramada property, which is also owned by the client. And the proposal is that there are going to be 3 bays that want 3 trucks, maximum 3 trucks getting in, which is, I believe, is about 53 feet long, is able to change the tires and maybe the lube exchange, and I think that's the intent of the owner at this time. And then basically the orientation and also the site is long enough to actually accommodate for any kind of queuing of the trucks if it's required, so that it's not going to block any of the traffic and flow of any of the adjacent businesses and properties. Is there any other comments that the owner would like to make?
Yeah. Hello, good morning. My name is Ryan Park. I come from the grassland. I own the Ramada grassland and Petro Canada grassland. So that grassland, that property used to be farmland. So I do making for nothing for something now. So it is developed for the 8 commercial lots, some things, but we're using for 2 commercial lots now. The rest of them is nothing in there. So there is a heavy truck there already, traffic there already. Once I do the develop that ones, I don't know the Hamlet commercial zone or highway commercial zone or light industrial commercial zone or light heavy industrial commercial zone. I don't know nothing about. Planner said, if you want something built, whatever you can do it, no problem. So I believe that. So that now I try to build this one. Oh, this is the Hamlet zone. You can't do that. Oh, this is the Hamlet zone. So it's just, I try to do some things, but didn't make it anything. So it's I using only for 2 commercial lots. Rest of them is just there. So I like keep developing for like growing, county growing and country growing to making some opportunity for the new job and making some money, something, pay more taxes. So that's I try. So it's a tire shop is for gas station is people change for the electronic vehicles or some new AI system. So maybe gas station is 10 years, 20 years later is disappear something, but tire shop is electronic vehicles continuing using the tires. So that's why it's or maybe I can put it in the one tire shop and then maybe some lube services. So oil change, greases and that kind. That's my plan. So I'm not making any pollutions. I'm not making any contamination. So I do follow all the county's municipal rules, some things, but please do check them out. I like help for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification? Councilor Mintz.
So the access into this proposed development is going to be off of the highway, right? It's not going to come in off of another street or we're not developing.
It's access using it's already in the west side and east side is enough access. So it's behind the C-store and restaurant behind it. So it's nothing hurt any traffic jams or anything like that. That
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
No, that's good. Thank you.
At this time, does council have any additional questions of any speaker or of the staff? Does anyone feel that they have not been fairly heard?
Maybe I just add one more item here. It'd be great. So based on the drawings that we presented and we submitted, and the layout of the location of the building, and also there's a setback in the proper line. And it seems that the setback that we provided is adequate. And the way that we actually identify the front rear side. And I believe that's the frontage of front setback should be the frontage of where the trucks are accessing. So it's not the actual front of where the highway is a frontage. It's actually where the building, the how truck accepts. The building accepts the truck, so that's the frontage. So we actually allocated the front setback to be on the west side. So that's how the front, rear, and side setback came about from the drawings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Wilkinson, did you have any further comments? No? No, then there be no further testimony. I will close the public hearing. I further advise council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank you for attending the public hearing. And I declare the public hearing closed at 9:49.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be dealing with this bylaw later. And then
Thank you. Our next public hearing for the day is related to bylaw 009-2023 for the land use bylaw amendment of Northeast 771-17 west of the 4th. I am Ashton Anderson, Deputy Reeve for Athabasca County, and I will be the chair of the hearing. On behalf of council, I'd like to welcome you here today. All of council is present with the exception of Reeve Hall, and we've already completed our introductions for the day. The secretary of the public hearing is Pat Vincent, who is the interim CAO for Athabasca County. Any persons who have joined this meeting in person or via Zoom and are wishing to be heard should please give your full name now. There are no attendees in person or via Zoom. Thank you. The public hearing for bylaw 009-2023 is now open. The purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca County Council to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant, oh, sorry, I'm reading your part.
it's okay. You're doing such a great job. You can continue.
Not.
Thank
Please
you.
take over.
It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council through the chairperson. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The ground rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: Director of Community and Protective Services, Krista Wilkinson, will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of land use bylaw 009-2023. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Director Wilkinson will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councilors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at this hearing. Only councillors may ask questions of speakers during the hearing. If any person wants to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during their presentation. And the chair will only ask the question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
This bylaw amendment proposes to do a rezoning from heavy industrial to agriculture district. It's 161 full quarter section, 161 acres. It's mainly bush and it's accessed off Range Road 175. The vacant parcel, the parcel was redistricted in 2007 as there was a belief that there may be a demand for industrial land in the area. As this parcel is still vacant and the demand for industrial land is not there, the applicant would like to redistrict back to agriculture to provide for an opportunity to hunt and snowmobile and for future residential development.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask the director? Seeing none, are there any written materials that have been submitted?
Yes, I have two that came back from the referrals that we did. So the first one is from Forestry and Parks Lands Delivery have no concerns with this bylaw amendment. And the second one is Apex Utilities has no objection to the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Director. Have any persons joined us who wish to speak? Seeing none. Does council have any questions or points of clarification? Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wishes to speak? Does anyone feel that they have not been fairly heard? There being no further testimony, I will close the public hearing. I further advise council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank you for attending the public hearing. I declare the public hearing closed at 9:54 a.m. Our delegation is scheduled for 10:30, so we're going to skip over that. And our next item. Sorry, do we need? We need a motion to reconvene the council meeting. Can I please get a motion to reconvene the council meeting? Councillor Holland. Call the question, all in favor. Motion carried 8-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.2, Airport Avgas. Administration, did you want to speak to this or was there somebody?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Council. I've provided a background report based on the resolution carried at the September 12th council meeting. I am requesting that you pick from the three options and give direction for what you would like to see brought back to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. There are some major concerns with the computer system and the airport users, most of which used to sit on an airport committee that's been disbanded, have looked at offering the service themselves for the Avgas as opposed to the county offering.
Madam Chair, it would be my respectful submission and recommendation that the third option be considered as part of the budget process, and that Athabasca County Council consider handing over the provision of Avgas to a committee of airport members for them to run. I believe that they would be in a much better position from their perspective of familiarity with the airport operations, their particular needs to access that particular service and give them control over that. Over the last 2.5 years, there's been a lot of frustration from the airport users. And if council considers their strategic plan and the task within the strategic plan to make the airport a more commercial and viable operation, this would be the direction that we would strongly recommend council consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CAO. Counselor Mins.
I, after reading over this and doing a little, finding out a little bit of background information myself and everything, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. To option 3, to hand over the provisions of AVGAS to a committee of airport members. That's what administration is looking for, is that motion, and I'd be willing to make that motion. I really want to make that motion, so I'm making it. The other thing is looking into it, we had a really good system there. Even to the point where I remember actually looking after that system, checking on it and everything. And if we're gonna have AVGAS at our airport and advertise it, we really need to provide it, because it's pretty tough to land downtown Athabasca and fill up some other place. So yeah, and so that's what I'm looking at there. Also regarding the committee, I don't know if I don't really think any of council needs to really be on the committee. I think a committee of administration and some outside people, and that, you know, we have a mechanic at or business at the airport. We also have many pilots that fly or that live around Athabasca, and that they could be on the committee and get the airport back up and running. And with information coming back to council, I think would be amazing to get back into that process. My point of view. Thank you.
So just to clarify, included in your motion, is that to bring back more information on the committee structure, or?
Oh, they could, just to bring back more information, like keep council abreast of what's happening at the airport. I don't think we need to be sitting and on this committee it gets into pretty operational. I think with enough input from the experts or from administration, from people that are actually flying, that's I think that'll make our airport run a lot more proficient.
Thank you, Councilor Mins. Councilor Chamson.
Would administration be willing to put a committee listing together with that information of who you think it should be comprised of?
Through the chair to Councillor Chamzik, we would be looking to work with airport members on a setup in terms of reference on how they would wish to run that, and then bring over a final handover request, hopefully to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councilor Mins has made a motion to direct administration to pursue the turnover of the provisions of the AVGAS system to a committee of airport members to manage, and further to direct administration to bring back information about a proposed committee structure for council's review. Is that correct? Okay. Are there any further comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is 8-0, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 7.1 regarding bylaw 0112023, which is the intermunicipal SDAB bylaw.
Madam Chair, it'd be my pleasure to speak to this item. When I arrived back in April, one of the action item lists that was outstanding was pursuing an intermunicipal effort to form an intermunicipal subdivision and development appeal board. We have proceeded. I acknowledge my colleague, the CEO for the town of Athabasca, Rachel Rami, for taking the initiative and preparing this. We have reviewed it at the administrational level. It has been discussed at tri-council and everyone's in agreement. Both the town of Athabasca and the village of Boyle have now passed their respective bylaws for the formation of an intermunicipal subdivision and development board. I would ask council this morning to consider giving first, second, and third readings of bylaw 011-2023, so that we, as the third and final partner in this initiative, adopt our intermunicipal subdivision and development appeal board bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you. CAO, is there someone willing to move first reading? Counselor Holland? Any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, we'll call the question on the matter of first reading for bylaw 011-2023. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0. Counselor Holland, you'd like to move second reading as well? Thank you. Any comments? Counselor Capitanic?
Just one of the thoughts and concerns that I had when going through this was we had talked about a code of conduct for members at large and members on committees of council. And it does say in 3.5 that councils may remove a member by resolution at any time, but I don't feel like there's enough meat, I guess you would say, to that piece. Because we're having a regional subdivision and appeal board, there's 3 councils, 3 different codes of conduct. Would there be one code that would be referred to if that decision was being made by the 3 councils to remove someone?
CAO Vincent, do you want to comment?
A very good question, and something that very little thought was put into on that. It would certainly be my recommendation that the highest standard of code of conduct among the 3 municipalities would be the standard by which that they would be judged. I think that that would be an administrative matter, nothing in the bylaw itself, but at administrational level to come up with that particular consensus, so that when the first intermunicipal subdivision development appeal board meets, that those guidelines are then adopted to govern the board's actions from any moment forward.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? Want to call the question? Seeing none, we'll call the question on the adoption of second reading for bylaw 011-2023. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0. Counselor Holland, you wish to?
Go to third and final.
Seek unanimous.
Seek unanimous consent.
consent.
There we go. For third reading. Okay, Counselor Holland has wished to seek unanimous consent for third reading of bylaw 011-2023. Call the question. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0.
Madam Chair, before you go to third reading, may I just make a couple comments? First of all, it will have no impact on Athabasca County as far as our municipal planning commission is currently structured, because only members of council sit on the municipal planning commission. So that's one benefit. Secondly, the current members who sit on our subdivision development and appeal board, who are all trained members, will be eligible to submit their names to the pool to be considered for a call whenever a intermunicipal subdivision development appeal board hearing would be called or needed. The same with those members from both the village and the town. So they will automatically be part of the panel or the pool of trained eligible members to sit on the SDAB. And just wanted to assure council that that process has already been thought about, is in place, so there won't be any hiccups as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for clarification, CAO, will all the members being now appointed to the intermunicipal SDAB be reoriented so that they will receive notification on the code of conduct that will apply and those kind of matters?
That would be one of the matters that would be the first agenda item on a future, or the first at every hearing, actually, just to as a confirmation that we now have a different type of organization and different structure. And so part of it is, as you say, a reorientation to their role, and also consider code of conduct at the same time.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Someone wanting to move third reading? Counselor Holland? Counselor Holland has moved for third reading of bylaw 0112023. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? 7-1. That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item 7.2, related to bylaw 0062023 for the land use bylaw amendment of Northeast 216718 west of the 4th, for which we had a public hearing earlier today. Counselor Chamzik.
The recommended motion, please.
Counselor Chamzik has moved to give second reading to bylaw 0062023 for the land use bylaw amendment for unit 6, plan 1524780 within Northeast 216718 west of the 4th, from Hamlet Commercial C1 district to Highway Business C3 district. Is there any comments? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? That motion is carried 8-0.
Move third.
Counselor Chamzik would also like to move to give third reading and final reading of bylaw 0062023 land use bylaw amendment for plan 6, unit 6, plan 1524780 within Northeast 216718 west of the 4th, from Hamlet Commercial C1 district to Highway Business C3 district. Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0. Thank you. CAO, they need development permits first.
Madam Chair, we'll work with them. I just heard cha-ching, cha-ching.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
The next item of business is item 7.3 regarding bylaw 0092023 land use bylaw amendment for Northeast 77117 west of the 4th, for which we had a public hearing earlier today. Is someone willing to move second reading of this motion? Counselor Cromwell has moved to give second reading of bylaw 0092023 land use bylaw amendment for Northeast 77117 west of the 4th, from heavy industrial M2 district to agricultural district. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0. Someone willing to move third reading? Counselor Gerlich has moved to give third and final reading of bylaw 0092023 land use bylaw amendment for Northeast 77117 west of the 4th, from heavy industrial M2 district to agricultural district. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried 8-0. I will now call a recess for 15 minutes for personal convenience breaks prior to our delegation beginning. Thank you. Does it sound better? Okay. Wonderful. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Next item on our agenda is item 5.1, which is our delegations from our regional law enforcement professionals. We'll start with introductions, go around the table, start with CAO, interim CAO, Pat Vincent. This will be his last council meeting with us today. Recording secretary, Ms. Blair. Communications coordinator, Mr. Schenkelberg. Ooh. Next.
Rob Mins, elected Division 8, Baptiste Lake Island Lake area.
Hi there, good morning. Thank you for being here. Tracy Holland with Division 5, and that is east of Athabasca, Parkview, Apple Valley, Jackfish Lake, Paxton areas.
Kelly Chamsick, Grassland, Moore and Prospita areas.
Good morning, Camille Wallach, Division 9, north of the river.
My name is Ashton Anderson. I'm Deputy Reeve for Athabasca County, and I reside in Division 3, which is Boyle Catlin area.
Good morning, Joe Gerlach, Rochester Perryville area, Division 1.
Good morning, Natasha Kaptanik, Division 2, Collington, Minooka, and New Pine Creek.
And good morning, welcome Gary Cromwell, Division 6, the far north, up to and including the beautiful Wandering River area, Brainerd, Blue Jay. Welcome, thank you for being here.
I'll turn the floor over to you, gentlemen.
Sergeant Paperizzi, I'm the Boyle commander. Sergeant Lee Simpkins, Boyle traffic, or Boyle Athabasca traffic unit commander.
I'm Corporal Dubois. I'm the acting commander while Staff Sergeant Hall is on training in depot.
And Sergeant House with Sergeant, the Sheriff's Highway Patrol, the Lac La Biche unit, and our office is at the Atmore Inspection Station.
Thank you for joining us today. Who would like to present first? Sergeant Paperizzi.
All right, great. All right, as I said, I'm Sergeant Paperizzi. Appreciate the invite from council. Hope you all had a good week so far. Just snapshot, you got the quarterly report. It was a bit late, but that's a snapshot. Things have changed since about July for my detachment. So I've got one transfer that came out in June. The replacement for that officer is maybe coming mid-October. So we're very slow at replacing. I have a corporal that is on extended leave, anticipating coming back February. So there's some pressures, and I have another one transferring out. Saturday will be his last day. I do not have a replacement in the foreseeable future until I can reassess with depot because we're a little bit lagging on recruits. I lost my head ESE staff. She went to bigger pastures in K Division. So I'm pleased that we've bumped somebody into her spot for now, but I am replacing that position as well. That'll leave a vacancy coming up for another administrative staff in our office. So I lost about 30% of my staff into the summer months, which wasn't very pleasant. So we did what we could, accommodated holidays. Tried to be everywhere we could. I know Travis really helped out. So did Lee's department with some patrols, extra visibility for us. That really helps us out when we do get short on personnel. And that was my intent, was building those relationships. So I know Travis in the CPOs as well really helped us out with Wandering River. 100K up is tough for us to be out there all the time. Didn't get much problems for Wandering River that were reported. We had about 8 calls for service up there regarding the quads, and it was for general patrol, so no major incidents, which was nice. Going into the summer months, into present time, we're looking at a little more property crime in the grassland area, from what I can tell, which we're struggling with. A lot of those are happening at late at night. We're not getting reports till the next day. Little evidence to go on, and that's just the general trend. So we're going to do what we can to try and really increase a presence in there. The lakes, Long Lake specifically. It's not in the county, but it's still our jurisdiction. We had an increase or influx of property thefts there, just with the increase of a lot of people bringing out their summer toys, I think. The boats, the quads, the ATVs. So there's lots of opportunity there for people that are not willing to pay for their own. So we had a meeting out there, educated some of the property owners what they can do for preventative measures, made sure that they know who we are, who to call, and it's really helped. I can say that yesterday there was a B&E in progress in Long Lake. Turned out to be somebody just looking for cell service, and it was actually a resident, but he found real quick that 3 Mounties come down there really quick, and they actually come through the bush after you. So it was kind of a false alarm, but it was good practice. And the community was actually overwhelmed because they were pretty happy that we did get out there quick. So I tell everybody if they call us, we'll come, and we're doing what we can. My focus into the fall, start of the school year, was the schools. We're going to do what we can to be engaged with all the schools. However, I made it very clear that we need to be invited a lot of times because we don't know what's always happening. So I've reached out to all the principals. They have a direct communication with me. Like every department across the public sector, short-staffed is common. So if you see a guy drinking a coffee in the school zones and he looks like me, it is me. I have been in the school zones myself. So my general attitude going into the fall and winter is we're going to treat it like a business. When you get short-staffed, sometimes everybody's got to chip in, including the boss. So that's where we're at. I don't anticipate too many problems going into the winter because it generally does slow down for us. I'll be keeping an eye on probably, I guess, some of the activity with hunters coming in. I anticipate a lot of our moose and deer strikes will pick up into the fall because we did last year. And other than that, the summer, knock on wood, it was very good for us and I was pleased. I was expecting it to be a lot busier, but generally a lot of the people coming out were excellent. I was privy to be invited and partook in the Wildberry Days, and I was blown away how great attended that was. And not just from the local villagers and county residents. Most people I talked to were all Calgary, St. Albert, all people from the summer villages. And they were blown away from the street hockey and everything going on, including the parade, that most of them are saying they would rather come to our area and partake in that than to do things at home. They said it was just a blast. So I was very pleased, and I think next year it'll be even bigger. Like it was crazy. It was a street festival and it was awesome. So I don't have much to report other than property crimes increasing. That's everywhere from what I can tell from the media. But we're going to be struggling to try and keep up with that because it is like chasing a tornado, and we'll do what we can, but for sure. Any questions?
Counselor Mintz.
It's great to see that I was noticing today even that there's stuff on TV. You guys are looking for new recruitments and stuff like that. So that's great to see. It sucks that we can't fill those positions. It's too bad. It's in a way, it'd be nice to.
And it's not, from my experience, we go through peaks and valleys with recruiting. But from what I can tell, it's across the board for society right now. We are engaging more in recruiting though. I did 2 recruiting booths. So at even Wildberry Days, we made sure we brought out the recruiting information. I did put a recruiting poster at the Boyle High School because I'm not kidding right now. If anybody wants to join the RCMP, the best time that I've seen in a long time is now.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to take that job on and make it a career, it's an excellent opportunity and you will get it. There is some leeway with staffing from what we're hearing in recruiting that, for example, if you know somebody in Northern Alberta that wants to join, I would promote them to join and they would get a very high probability that they could come back here. And It's not the highest paying job in the world, but it's stable and to be honest, you know, you have some good opportunity to go across the board. I got one guy that was trying out for ERT. A lot of people are going to federal sections from here, so sky's the limit where you want to go. So it is a good opportunity and yeah, word of mouth is what we have in small town and I've been trying to do that too, especially with the kids coming up high school age to really reconsider it.
Yeah, and that's a perfect spot to start is in the high school end.
Yeah, for sure.
And even just getting yourselves out there to interact with them is great. It's a great
Absolutely.
idea. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sergeant Simpkins. I'll turn. the
Morning,
floor-
thanks for the invitation. I can't remember the last time we met. I know it was before the summer, was it not? Again, Sergeant Simpkins, I'm in charge of the RCMP traffic unit for Boyle and Athabasca. So we do mostly enforcement education and public education events. I brought some stats from my unit for the previous 3 months, so June, July, and August. And just what we've been doing in the area and some of the feedback that we've had from community drivers and community partners. So yeah, I'll just go right in it. So in the last 3 months, in July, I had 2 members transfer out of my unit, one lateraled down south to Drumheller and the other one promoted to Peace River. So we're down those 2 guys. So like, and take into account in summer, there's a lot of leave and whatnot. I have one member that goes back east quite a bit, so it eats up a lot of vacation time. So in the last 3 months, for immediate roadside suspensions or IRSs, my unit's got 3 impaired drivers off the road. The IRS caution zeros are 24 hours, so that's novice drivers having a BAC above what I'll call concentration above 0 milligrams. We got nine of those. And alcohol and cannabis sanctions or tickets, so that could be liquor within reach or illegal cannabis or not packaged properly. We had 6 of those fines handed out. And then a little bit of a higher number, and I find it's quite common, is people are in the back roads thinking they don't need to wear their seatbelts, and then they come into town and don't have their seatbelts on, and then they get a ticket. So they need to be wearing them at all times when the vehicle's driving. In the last 3 months, we had 42 seatbelt infractions within the area. Following that, we've been doing quite a bit of distracted driving enforcement using unmarked police vehicles and whatnot. So in the last 3 months, we have handed out 26 distracted driving tickets for cell phone usage. As far as aggressive driving, so that's your speeds, high speeds, school zone speeds, that sort of thing. Last 3 months, we've written 225 speed tickets. And the highest speed that was captured was by myself. Captured a vehicle doing 234 kilometers an hour. We had other charges of 64, so that could be intersection infractions like stop signs or what have you, or anything else we can think of. In the last 3 months, you guys have educated you on the mandatory alcohol screening, which came into effect December 19th, 2018. So when we stop the vehicles or we do road checks, we mandatory alcohol screen every driver we encounter. So in the last 3 months, we've done 627 mandatory alcohol screening. So that's all the traffic stops and all the road checks that we've done. And that's basically between the 3 of us that are working. We've assisted the detachments 48 times in the last 3 months. So on average, I don't know, 15 to 20 calls a month will help out our partners, because there's a chance, we're up working 63 at Mariana Lake and the call comes in, right? So we'll be there we're cops first, so we'll respond to those. And then when we can be released, we'll go back to our normal duties. And in the last 3 months, my unit's written 76 warnings. In the last couple of months there, we've done some public education events. One of those that my unit just compiled here in September, because it's School Zone Safety Month, is we printed off all the legislation from the Traffic Safety Act. And we actually went to the school zones. We did Whispering Hills here, the Plumonton School Zone, and the one in Boyle on 663. You might have seen us out there. And we were basically just doing a public education, no enforcement. We were standing on the middle of the road and we were waiting for motorists to come up to our location, and we were asking them if they were aware of and if or when the school zone was in effect and what the speed limit was. And I would say about 95% of the drivers did not know. So I think it was a very successful public education event. And we, like I said, we handed out the legislation, so they were familiar. And then from then on, we've done enforcement. And I know the sheriffs were out last week doing enforcement in the school zone. So we did the education part first, then now we've conducted the enforcement. We also did drug talk we were invited to the hockey camp here that was held in Athabasca. And we went there for an hour and a half, and it was about 60 youths. And myself and Constable Shapu did a talk about drugs and their effects on the body and that sort of thing. And I think it really opened the kids' eyes. So they were pretty impressed. And so we have future school talks coming up here. Again, talking about drugs, drug usage, and occupant restraints, so seatbelt usage, that sort of thing. So it just depends what age group that we're going to be talking to what I'll present to them. Drugs and driving things may be more of a senior grade level, and seatbelt usage and that sort of thing may be for maybe the primary children. We do have and you probably want us to come up there one time to Wandering River, but we are heading to one of the fire halls here, and I'm going to give them a presentation on preservation of evidence for scene security and that sort of thing, because when we get there as the police and we've had a major incident involving a crash or something, and if there's a fatality, which even makes it even worse, we need that physical evidence to remain on scene, and we need it not to be destroyed. So we need it to be protected. And, 9 times out of 10, these fire halls, Wandering River and all the other ones, they're there before we get there. So I'm going to educate them on how and what to look for, not to touch anything, just not to destroy anything, so that we can get that physical evidence. Because winter's upon us, it's going to be snowing, inclement weather's coming. And, anything from tire marks we need to preserve until we can get a collision analyst there, that sort of thing, right? So, yeah, that's going to be our public education for October. So, the only feedback I got from the public was based in the Boyle School Zone. And I don't know if this is the place to bring it up, but I will. When I did the education, my unit did the education in the Plumonton School Zone. It's very well signed. It has the Monday to Friday, 8 to 3:30, 11:30 to 1:30, 3 to 4:30. And the 663 one in Boyle doesn't. And a lot of the motorists were like, well, it's 7 days a week, it's a playground. Oh, no, it's a different sign. This is a school zone sign. So I have encountered it myself with my young guy when he was learning to drive. But we were after 4:30, and he was doing 30, and we had a semi tailgating us. So, and he was doing the 4:30 thing in his window when I looked at him. So it's like, so that would be kind of nice. If a sign could be added to Lac La Biche School Zone too. When you come right into Lac La Biche, it's all properly signed there. It has all the times and stuff. It would just eliminate confusion on part of the motorists, because especially people like from out of province, they may not know the TSA here, right? And then they're getting a ticket because in BC it's different. It's 8 to 5 Monday to Friday school days. So if school's out on Monday, they can do the 50. So those sort of things, it just would eliminate the confusion and court time, I guess. So yeah, that's about all I have. we're currently vacated our building because we had a water leak, which led to a little bit of mold. So I'm kind of working between the Boyle GD office and the Athabasca GD office. So I'm kind of stuck in limbo right now. So yeah, hopefully it'll be resolved soon. So
Thank you. And as a reminder, do you want to repeat those school zone times? So that everybody is well aware?
yeah, it's 8 to 9:30, 11:30 to 1:30, and 3 to 4:30.
Thank you. Counselor Cromwell.
Very impressive for what your team has done. Thank you very much for that. Definitely the old saying, you can sometimes do a lot more with a lot less, and you guys really kicked it out of the ballpark. So, or hit it out of the ballpark rather. Well done. The one question I do have for you, Sergeant. How do you find the signage for the grassland school zone? I often see people very confused about that one in a lot of the driving that I do, and I'm sure Sergeant House will tell you the very same, that people seem to have issues with that. Is there anything we can do to clear that one up? I know the one for Boyle would be through the village, and hopefully they're paying attention here today and listening in.
Well, I think
Fine.
since it's on Highway 663, is that not the county or no? I don't know. I'm not privy to that. I don't know if it's the village or the county's signs, but it would be transportation, yeah. I'm not sure about the wandering one. Does it have the
Grassland,
or-
right along the highway.
Oh, the grassland one.
'Cause you go
Yeah,
from
it
that
doesn't have the
100
time
to
zones
that
either.
80 to that 50 to that 30 in very short order there. And that is a lot of speed changes in that 1.5, 2 kilometer section there. Is there a recommendation you can give for that whole area? Maybe even not today, but between a lot of you, when you come back and go, what can we do? Or what can we talk to transportation about to make that a little bit safer and more understandable for the people coming through?
I think the time zones would be a good addition there, like,
Okay.
like I say, and especially that part of the highway, because a lot of people from even out of province are traveling to Fort Mac and they don't know these things. Like I say, in BC, it's Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, 30 kilometers an hour. There's none of this 8 to 3, 8 to 9:30. I mean, I was in charge of traffic. I didn't know that for the first few months I was here, right? I just assumed it was like BC, but it's not. Right? So and I, like I say, we do have a heart. We're not the Tin Man, but you get these people from out of province and they don't know this. Right? So it's
Some places at wet sunrise to sunset. Yeah, they don't worry about the times. That's something that has to be looked at.
like that's the same here, like playground zones or dawn till dusk, with common sense thrown in there, right? But it'd be nice if the school zone for maybe a little bit more, because it makes it hard on our part to enforce. I mean, it's easy just to write a ticket, but like I say, we do have some compassion for the people, especially if they're from out of province. If they're speeding through the zone and then the sign's there, but the timings aren't posted, so then it's like, default.
TSA sets the times, and then a municipality can alter that. And if they want to alter the times, then it has to be signed.
Yeah.
So that's why it shows a 30, but it's not school time. It reverts back to 50 kilometers an hour. That's the issue we have on Boyle and Water River or in grasslands. The argument is, well, it's 30 all the time. Oh, it's the way the TSA is, it's actually 50 when it's not school time. So yeah, signs would help.
Okay. Thank you guys very much for
Thank
that.
you.
And again, all of you, thank you very much.
Maybe something council can advocate for. Counselor Chemzik.
Looking forward to that recommendation coming out. I know some of the feedback that I've heard is that, consistency, because always the issue of speeding through those zones, but off of that topic anyways, like to thank you for pointing out some of the areas of interest that, is having those higher volumes of infractions, if you will. It was also really great to see the hockey game. I thought that was really amazing just to see the engagement with everybody. And I just think it's excellent. And to echo everybody else here, you guys are doing a lot with being short-staffed. And, when you're educating just not only the children, but the adults too, it's something to be definitely very commended. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on.
So hi, as I mentioned, Corporal Dubois, Charles, Staff Sergeant Hall, Mark was supposed to be here today, but he's on training in depot, so I'm here in his stead. I'll go through like the other guys did on our detachment levels. So on the positive side, we got a new PS position at the detachment that we're going to be hiring. So we're going to add an extra PS position there. That's going to help out everyone at that level. So on the detachment level side, we have 2 long-term ODS off-duty sick that we're not too sure exactly when they're going to be coming back. We have 1 member transferring in November, around November. He's going to FIS in St. Paul, right, St. Paul? But we, myself and Mark have been talking to the people I know, the people we know, the people we've worked with to get some people coming in here. And we have 1 person that is transferring to Athabasca Detachment that has 5 or 6 years experience. So it's going to be great. The only issue is he cannot find a place to stay. He's been trying to find a spot to stay. He's gone to 2 houses now. It was a scam. So he's having a lot of issues to find a place for him and his family. So that's kind of what's holding him back right now. We have a corporal position, my replacement. So if you don't know, I'm transferring to New Brunswick. So my replacement promotion just closed. So we should hear something in the next couple of weeks on who it's going to be. There's, I believe, 3 or 4 people that applied for it. So, and I know most of them, and it's going to be a good thing. So my house is for sale. Help me out. You anyone looking for a house, come to see me.
I believe you just solved your own problem.
He can't buy it. That's the issue. If not, that would have been an easy thing. So I'm hoping we get a corporal from outside that needs a house. That'd be something like that. Mark wanted me to ensure that you've sent your request for the RMA or your response to the RMA. I don't know if that's been done yet, because it was the only one that we weren't sure if that was done or not, but if it's done, perfect. Yeah, so we're hoping that we're gonna maintain our staffing levels. We're talking to people from the outside, people that are releasable to make Athabasca as attractive as we can, because it's a great place around here to work with. I haven't been here very long, but I've had a blast. It's been really, really good. So we're hopeful to do that. As you've also received the quarterly report that Mark completed, our main issue of concern is property crime. That's the biggest thing, especially vehicle theft. That's what's come up the most in our region. It's been across the province I've looked at, and across the province it's gone up. Here it's gone up a lot. Recently, actually, I think it was a couple of days ago. I know it was down. We haven't done the media released on, but it's going to be coming out. So my guys in Athabasca recovered 5 vehicles at the same residence. So 5 stolen vehicles that were recovered. There's going to be charge pending. I can't discuss the charges or the people involved because I don't think the information's been sworn yet, but we're going to try to do a media release to let you guys know. So that's one of the major things. So we're hoping that's going to open up some doors and we're able to get a little bit more information on who's responsible. Most of us sometimes have a suspect in mind, but we have to prove it. And the other thing is to discuss with Crown everything that's happening, because we always have an issue with the possession of stolen property part. Were they aware that it was on their property? Are they responsible if it's on their property? So we're trying to get that resolved as well with Crown, to get Crown on board with what we're doing. The other thing that we've had a big issue recently is frauds that we've had, phone frauds, and then people like the IRS calling in saying that you need to pay your taxes with the what do you call it, the gift cards. So what we're doing right now is I have my constables are printing 3 sorts of pamphlets. They're giving those pamphlets to all the businesses that sell those gift cards, and to senior homes mainly, because it's the seniors that have been targeted by those frauds. So we've been giving them. So I brought a bunch of them so I can send them for everyone to have some. Pass it down. So make photocopies, give them to people just to make you all aware of what looks like a fraud. If someone calls in saying someone needs money, they've been arrested, that's one of the big frauds. Your son's been arrested, and then they always have the proper response to any question that you have, but keep that in mind. If you're not sure, give us a call. There's also numbers on those for the anti-fraud sections of Canada. So there's a website, bunch of information on frauds there as well. So I always urge people to, if you're not sure, go have a look on that website, have a look at what those frauds are, what it looks like, so that you can be informed. So we're doing that with the seniors. We're going into the schools as well, making just everyone aware of it as much as possible. On the school sides, school started. So as you know, every member is assigned a school in the county, in the MD, and then town. So members are to go to their schools, have a chat with the kids, just have a face to a police officer, so that kids are comfortable with around police officers. I've had a kid recently. We had the open house at the school here in town. And there was a kid that didn't want to get close to the police vehicle, thought it's going to take him to jail. So I was there with my own son, and then he knew him, so he brought them out, and we had a chat by the police vehicle, so he'd be a little bit more comfortable, right? So it's stuff like that we try to do as much as possible. There's the Flying High Conference that's coming up. I don't know I think it's all the schools kind of put together. Yeah, so Constable McClanagan is going to be heading that this year. So he's aware, he's going to prepare something. So he's probably one of our best community police officers. He loves doing that. He's done great work with the rugby team with the high school. So he's put those posts there himself. So he's looking forward to that. So we're always trying to go into school as much as possible. Following that, I'm pretty sure I had 10 other million things to say, but if you have any questions for me, please.
Thank you. Counselor Mintz.
I just want to thank you for all of you about going to the schools, and I think that's very important, and I'm a very advocate for that. Also, I think it's New Brunswick's gain and our loss, you moving on. I think it'd be better if you don't sell your house and just stay. Yeah, no, I wanna thank you very
I
much for
appreciate
your.
it. It's hard to turn down a promotion though.
Oh, I know.
Counselor Holland.
And I echo the same words. Yes, and I cannot compliment you all enough for the work that you do here. So thank you. With regards to these, this is very awesome. Is it okay if we take an image of them and share them on social media?
Absolutely. So these are actually made by our media liaison. They've had those for a little while, and once in a while I like to recirculate them. When I was in McLennan with Staff Sergeant Hall with Mark, we actually had those laminated and we give them to all the cashiers around, and they would call us. It's like, hey, this person is here to buy $1,500 worth of gift cards. It's like, do you think it's a fraud? I'm like, yes. So it's hopeful that we catch at least a couple of people that way, because we've had a resurgence of that around here, and we try to nip it in the bud right away.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I sure appreciate that.
Thank you. Counselor Gerlich.
Yeah, some of the fraud attempts are kind of ridiculous. And I always have to fight the temptation of trying to have a little bit of fun with them. And my wife suggests to me that I should be careful because there may be voice recognition, or is there any danger in that type of stuff?
Not as much as the normal giving your personal information out there is, but there is some scams about you saying your name and then, yes, I agree, or like voice testing of cell phones. So we always say, just hang up. But I've been there, done that. I've had some fun with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for Corporal Dubois?
It's the time. Now. No.
None yet? Okay. Transfer to Sergeant House.
Okay, yes, so Sergeant Travis House here with the Alberta Sheriff Highway Patrol. Working the Lac La Biche unit, so we span multiple counties, not just Athabasca, but yeah, so part of with the Sheriff Highway Patrol, we're part of the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, which is a safety program throughout North America, Canada, US, and Mexico. All commercial vehicles operating on the highways are held to the same maintenance standards. So a flat tire in Mexico is the same as a flat tire in the town of Athabasca, just to put it standardized. Throughout the year, we participate in many initiatives with the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance. In the last quarter, we finished our last two, so there's no more CVSA initiatives for the year. But we still do our inspections. So in July, it was Operation Safe Driver. We participated in that event. That's more or less focusing on unsafe driving of commercial vehicles or passenger carrying vehicles operating around the larger commercial vehicles. And a lot of the violations we encountered this year were with passenger vehicles, not so much the commercial vehicles. Our last initiative was in August. It was the week-long CVSA Brake Safety Week. So that's where we just conducted vehicle inspections, focusing on the brake systems of the vehicles. So there are no more CVSA initiatives, so to speak. So those weeks, that means every enforcement agency throughout Canada, US, and Mexico that are part of the CVSA, we're all doing the same thing. So if it's Brake Safety Week here in Alberta, it's Brake Safety Week all across Canada, US, and Mexico. So there's a big it's a big blitz week. Other safety initiatives we've worked on in the last quarter. So obviously with September, it's the Back to School Safety Month. That's part of the Alberta Transportation Traffic Safety Plan. So we really try to put an emphasis on getting as many school bus inspections completed as we can, as well as doing some enforcement in the school zones throughout our air patrol area. So in this month to date, we've conducted 42 full inspections of school buses in the area. Keep in mind, we could get more, but with our rotation and working afternoon shift and weekends, I think we only had about 10 day shifts where we could get out and do school buses all around. So yeah, we've completed 42 school bus inspections. We've done a couple speed operations in the school zones in Grassland and Boyle. Again, being Sheriff Highway Patrol, we tend to stick out to the school zones that are on the provincial highways. You won't see us in town in the school zone areas. We've issued about 20 tickets for school zone speed infractions. 3 of those have been Part 2 summons, so they've been exceeding more than 50 kilometers over the speed at the time. So we're getting into the 80K range in the 30K an hour time. The highest speed we encountered was 110 in the Grassland 30 zone. So regardless, if it's a 50, they were still 110. There's still double the normal speed limit. So yeah, that was a good stop. Other safety initiatives, we had a full force on Labor Day weekend. All 4 of us were out, so we spent some time up around the Wandering River area. Did some check stops in the areas. Did a lot of, if we seen an off-highway vehicle, we tried to check their documentation out. A lot of the locals, like, there was no issues with. The issues we had were more with the seasonal campers from Fort McMurray. I don't want to single anybody out, but just the summer crowd. They're the ones unregistered off-highway vehicles. There was some younger people out on dirt bikes doing wheelies down the range roads, and we try to stop them and they leave, right? So unfortunately, the honest ones stop, the dishonest ones take off. So education to the honest ones that it's actually stopped for us goes a long way. And I had a couple parents stop by after I was done dealing with their kids and their vehicles, and they're happy to see us out there checking it. So that's good. The one thing we have noticed is an increase in suspended drivers. So I don't know if it's just economic times. People can't afford to pay their tickets or their maintenance enforcement responsibilities. I don't know what, but yeah, we encountered a lot of suspended drivers lately, and especially over the long weekend. And that wasn't just in the Wandering River area. We went other places and we were finding lots. As far as our statistics go, so in the In the third quarter this year, we've conducted 305 commercial vehicle safety lines inspections, so 305 commercial vehicles were stopped for inspection. Of that 305, we did 154, which is the full level 1 inspection. We've issued 480 traffic tickets. We've issued 7 administrative penalties, so alcohol related infractions. I think one of the neatest ones is we were doing a check stop on the long weekend by Caslin, and we had a camper pulled over in front. We're screening them, and it was early, like might have been around 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6, like early in the evening. And the driver I had stopped was like, "Oh, it's too early to get impaired drivers." And I was like, "Well, actually, no, there's an impaired driver, and they're somewhere in one of these vehicles that are stopped behind you." And that really opened their eyes to know that they're on the road at 5 in the afternoon with an impaired driver. So that was pretty interesting. Since we've received our training for standardized field sobriety testing, we've conducted 4 standardized field sobriety tests on drivers we've stopped that we believe to be under the influence of drugs. Out of those 4 tests we've done, it's resulted in 2 24-hour suspensions. So their driving privileges were taken away for 24 hours. And the reason for they would be under cannabis, and the other one we believed was psilocybin, which magic mushrooms, I believe. Lee's, that's what it is. Yeah. I'll just pass on a couple interesting stops we've had. So we did a level 2 inspection of a commercial vehicle at the inspection station. Our officer observed a revolver style pistol under the driver's seat. The driver and the passenger were detained for the firearms investigation. Once they were detained, we found 2 more rifles, a whole ton of ammunition, magazines, knives. One of the rifles was loaded. It was a assault style AR-15. We have our district firearms officer who works in our unit, checked over all the magazines, the rifles, and determined that they were of the non-restricted classification. That the driver held a actual non-restricted firearms license, so there was no issues there. The magazines were all of legal capacity. And then the pistol turned out to be just a BB gun. So not a smart idea to be traveling around with a replica pistol BB gun in your vehicle in plain view of law enforcement.
You hyped it up so much.
Yeah, I know. Well, we thought it was going to be like the actual BBs, like looked like a real bullet. Like I've never seen one like that before. It was interesting. The driver, yeah, I think he needed a new pair of pants after that inspection. The driver was issued a ticket for transporting a loaded firearm under the Wildlife Act, just because after they finished delivering their load to Fort McMurray, they were going to go hunting. So they were young. He realized his mistake and everything. So another incident we just had recently was there was a van body semi-trailer. That's the enclosed semi-trailer. Turned the corner to go north on Highway 63 from Grassland. His cargo inside the trailer was large totes full of oil and other oil field equipment, non-regulated products. He didn't take the requirements to actually check that the cargo was secured inside the trailer. So when he turned the corner, it all shifted and it almost was going to tip over. The trailer frame was actually rubbing on the tires on the right side. And the driver had no idea that it actually shifted, and that was the condition of his trailer. That really could have led to a collision. I don't think the vehicle would have lasted till Blue Jay, like the K road, probably 10K up the highway, 20K, probably would have either tipped or the tires would have blown out. So really cool catch for us. The driver was thankful we caught it. He was pretty upset that it happened. it just goes to show why we stop a lot of vehicles where cargo is not secured inside of there and nothing's happened yet. That's the whole point of our inspections is we identify a defect that hasn't led to problem yet. So this was a really interesting scenario to see, like, this is what can happen when you don't secure your cargo inside a sided vehicle. Lots of people like to think they can just throw whatever they want inside the back of a trailer and they don't have to strap it down. No, you still have to. So yeah, that was a interesting stop for us there. The load originated in Edmonton. The driver told us he checked it before he left Edmonton. He checked it in Grassland when he last stopped for fuel, but he didn't take the time to actually see what was securing the cargo. He just looked at it. Okay, it's there. One of our standardized field sobriety tests was on, we had to help a backup of Fish and Wildlife sheriff. They were doing a hunting check on an individual who was operating their vehicle up on the K road. Through the Fish and Wildlife officer's investigation before we got there, he already placed the driver in custody. But when we arrived, a strong odor of marijuana in the vehicle, we could see the marijuana in the vehicle, the other drugs, a bottle of whiskey in the passenger seat. And it was obvious the driver did not have the faculties to be operating. So we conducted the field sobriety testing and he was issued a 24-hour suspension. So yeah, that's kind of about us from the quarter. To touch on staffing, like my partners here, the sheriffs are undergoing a really big recruitment and training initiative this fall. There's 3 Sheriff Highway Patrol training classes taking place. First one starting in October. And then there's obviously the other training for the court sheriffs and the other initiatives in the sheriff's branch that are taking place right now. Yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of like everybody else. Nobody seems to want to work north of Highway 16. So I don't know of any new officers coming up to the Atmore area, but fingers crossed we can get some soon. I don't know why. With our state of economic affairs and housing costs, you can get a real nice house in these little towns for a good price. So I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. But it'd be nice to see more people up here. I think we are going to be hosting some training at our facility coming up in November and December. So I hope that opens up some new members' eyes to what's really north of Edmonton. Like, so that'll be good for us. But until then, it's just myself and the 3 officers. And we try to do the best we can over our big area. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
Sounds great. Counselor Gerlich.
When you do the mechanical checks at Atmore, do you often check the vans to see if their contents are?
Yep, that's part of the CVSA standardized inspection is that you do a cargo check. So the only vehicles we won't open by policy is well, if we may have to get Lee or one of the RCMP to come, is if it's a trailer that's sealed by customs. Like if it has a customs seal on, we won't be opening that. But if a lot of trailers are sealed, we have replacement seals. So yeah, it is part of the inspection that we open up the doors and see what's secured inside of there. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other questions for Sergeant House? Seeing none. Thank you very much for joining us today. Oh, CEO.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to share with our presenters that Athabasca County has recently hired 2 new community peace officers. So Officer Wes Kardash, not to be confused with the Kardashians, has been with us for a month now. And Officer Ivan Alvarado joined us Monday of this week. So we're up to a full complement of 3 community peace officers.
I'll just add to Wes. I know him personally from my tenure in Bonnyville. He was an auxiliary there. he stopped by, we remembered each other, so he's a great addition, very knowledgeable.
Thank you. We only hire the best here in Athabasca County. Counselor Holland.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your presentations. I just had one quick question, actually, it popped into my mind when you mentioned the signage and the time zones that you'd like to see added. Was the school board also asked to advocate for that as well? I guess in both
I
divisions. both
remember
Aspen and-
talking with one of the schools. I'm just trying to remember which one it was that they'd mentioned that they would like to see the signs as well. I just,
Awesome.
off the top of my head, I can't remember who exactly that was.
Okay, no, that's no worries. No, I appreciate that. I think that's really important to bring up. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today. We really appreciate this and thank you for all the hard work you do in our community.
Thanks for having us.
We will now take a 5-minute recess and reconvene at 11:23. the meeting. The next item on our agenda is item 8.7, which is follow-up discussion regarding the RCMP law enforcement delegation. Counselor Holland, you'd like to make a motion?
I would, thank you so much. I think it's really important, the information that was brought forward by Sergeant Simpkins with regards to the school zones and the times to be posted on those signs. So I'm wondering if it's possible if we could ask administration, in my motion actually, is to ask administration to write a letter of request to Alberta Transportation, Aspen View School Boards, this Aspen View School Board, as well as the Northern Lights School Board, to advocate for those times to be added to those school zone signs, please.
Okay, now, do you want the letter to the school divisions or just CCing them so that they're aware that we are advocating for the addition?
Yeah, I would be a CC.
Okay.
please. Thank you.
To or increased. Okay, so to direct administration to draft a letter to Athabasca, Alberta Transportation to advocate for increased signage in school zones with carbon copies to be sent to Aspen View School Division as well as Northern Lights School Division. I got your.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Counselor Cromwell?
If, just for clarification, I thought you said originally to have the times added there.
The times added to the school
Okay.
zone signs, yeah.
Just
So
make sure the times are included in that letter as the point of request.
signage of school zone times. Okay. To direct administration to draft a letter to Alberta Transportation to advocate for increased signage around school zone times with the letters to be carbon copied to Aspen View School Division and Northern Light School Division. Are you wanting to amend the motion? No, you're in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Would it also be, should we also CC copies to the town, village, and our local MLA? So that they're also friendly amendment? Okay. Just so everybody is well aware. Okay. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried, 8-0. Next item on the agenda is item 9.1. I'd just like to remind council that these letters are for council information only and that we cannot discuss the decision made by council without a motion for reconsideration. Councilor
Just-
Holland?
Just for clarification, Madam Chair, I just want to point out so that council reminded, just 1 second here, please. When council approved the resolution, it was resolution CC 23-503 that council approved on a trial basis the proposed route subject to approval from Alberta Transportation Economic Corridors that Alberta Snowmobile Association has permission to run on provincial 1, 2, and 3-digit highway right-of-ways. So though there's a conditional approval, administration has not received any confirmation whatsoever. And so until such time, and administration will report back to council that that's the case and that the approval, conditions of approval have been met. So maybe in advance of anything actually occurring. And the second point is that it was the intent of Athabasca County through the discussions of council to follow the same process of Alberta Transportation in terms of granting approval for county-owned roads as well. So We haven't seen anything and we may be some distance away from getting, seeing that. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Thank you.
Thank you, CAO.
Thank you. I just wanted to also mention, I really appreciate when we have members of the public that write in. I think that's amazing to see that public engagement and bringing that forward. But I also wanted to mention just a couple of things, update to the report that was provided. And contrary to what information we were given, I just wanted to ensure that everyone was aware that the right-of-way traveled by OHV in both Woodland County and Whitecourt, their bylaws prohibit that particular travel. So we were informed that that did happen and no, actually it doesn't. And the other item I wanted to just update, because I will be updating the report and resending it with this information that has come forward, is that the document that was titled Trails in Alberta Highway Right-of-Way Policies, Guidelines, and Standards is not an active document, as it was never passed due to the fact that it does not follow legislation. So those two items that were outstanding in my report, I will just update that and then resend that report. It's kind of a living document.
Thank you.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Holland, are you also willing to move to accept the following correspondence as information? Councillor Wallach? Are there any further comments? Seeing none, call the question on the adoption of the motion to accept the following correspondence as information. All in favor? The motion carried 8-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 9.2, calendars. Councillor Holland.
Thank you. The previous date for the Alberta Athabasca Landing Trail meeting was canceled and it has been rescheduled to October the 6th. And I was also curious, in addition to that, we have a new appointment coming up with the AU installation of Dr. Clark at 1:30 p.m. on the 12th. So I was just curious if if the chair may reconsider that date.
I actually have already.
Can you use your microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
In response to that question, I did send a request to administration to advise if we should just if we should adjourn at 1 so that we can go all attend that. And then if we feel that we need to reschedule another meeting at that time, we can like to continue, but I think we should still fill the morning.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. Councillor Chamzik.
For in November, the 15th, Community Futures. And I believe the 20th will be FCSS, and the conference for the FCSS is the 22nd to the 24th. And then I think we have on the 29th an ASB, Camille. What was it? Oh, on the 18th, of November. Oh, sorry. I could be wrong about that.
I missed that last one.
I think that there's a meeting for ASB on the 29th of November.
ASB.
Yes.
Thank you.
Community
Okay.
Futures on the 15th.
Are there any further additions to or amendments to our calendar? Councillor Mins.
October 5th, I have a meeting regarding the water line feasibility study.
Thank you. Are there any further amendments? Seeing none, in order to get a motion to approve the calendars as amended, Councillor Cromwell. Call the question, all in favor? Motion carried 8-0. It would now be in order to receive a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Chamzik. Made a motion to go into closed session 11:33 a.m. Call the question, all in favor?